Ellie was the happiest she had ever been until she lined up for her COVID vaccines. Now, this means she queued up for. Yeah, it means it's the same as a queue, a line, although I think in Britain we usually say queue, and in America they very often say line. And if you queue up for something, you're waiting in a queue for something. So you might need to queue up for a visa or your passport or something like that. And some people, I don't know why, even queue up for COVID vaccines. Now she is living a nightmare, and doctors agree that the jabs, that means the vaccines, the inoculations, the immunizations, a jab is a vaccine. They agree the jabs are to blame. Well, technically a jab is just an injection, so it might not be a vaccine, and technically some people even say that these are not technically vaccines. But I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to give you my opinion on the issue. Mother left in agony by COVID vaccines. Pain drove her to wanting to end her life. Now, look at this. Drive somebody to. A lot of you might expect that to be to want, to plus infinitive, and not to plus gerund. But to plus gerund is possible, and it's actually quite common. It's like get used to plus gerund. It's always ing after get used to. And that's because the to in get used to is a preposition. It's not a to plus infinitive. Now, how do you know if the to is a preposition rather than a to plus infinitive? Well, the way you know is that you can replace this word with a noun. So something might drive you to suicide or something like that. And we saw that in one of the other stories, sadly, of one of the other victims of this wonderful medicine. He was driven to suicide, sadly. And the pain drove her to wanting to end her life. So if it's possible to put a noun after the to, just like I was close to tears, I was close to hitting somebody, I was close to going mad. If the to can be followed by a noun, that means it's a preposition. The to is a preposition, and so you need a gerund after that to, and not an infinitive. So the pain drove her to wanting to end her life. A mother has spoken out after her COVID-19 vaccine injury was finally diagnosed following years of chronic fatigue and excruciating nerve pain that was dismissed by doctors. So the doctors didn't expect this wonderful medicine to cause an injury. Ellie Sutton from the Blue Mountains west of Sydney told Daily Mail Australia that before getting AstraZeneca shots in September 21, now we remember that AstraZeneca was known to cause blood clots in March 2021, and we know that because even I made a video claiming that that was the case. But 18 countries had already banned the medicine by that time, and that's how I knew, okay? I didn't just guess. I'm not just crazy. I just read it in the newspapers that 18 different countries had banned it because of those complications. She was the happiest she had ever been. I was at the peak of my career, had an active social life and was fit and healthy, the 34-year-old said. I did a bodybuilding competition. I loved lifting weights at the gym. I lived in the city and was always jet-setting around doing things. I went to classes, went to music festivals. I experienced life in all its full richness. I previously always believed vaccines were safe. Now that's the mistake that she made. Never always believe anything. In science, we need to doubt things because that's how we make progress. And so it's always worth doubting things just to find out what the truth is. So I previously always believed vaccines were safe. So when my employer mandated that I be vaccinated, look at that subjunctive, I be, and it's because of this verb to mandate, just like to urge or to recommend takes a subjunctive, to mandate also takes the subjunctive. So when my employer mandated that I be vaccinated or lose my job, it seemed an easy enough decision. After getting her second AstraZeneca shot in December 2021, Miss Sutton suffered an alarming episode. Not long after that, the entire right side of my body went numb. So things go numb. Yeah, and I want you to remember that we say go numb just like we say go bald, go blind. We use go plus adjective quite often to explain that something happened, something took place, a change took place. And the change was she couldn't feel the right side of her body. The entire right side of her body went numb. I presented to ER thinking I was having a stroke. That's when half of the brain shuts down, and it's very often related to blood clots. And they told me it was likely just a type of migraine and to go home. Miss Sutton has a Pfizer COVID booster around April 2022, and the unravelling of her life accelerated. I was sitting with my partner of only a few months and complained of a funny little tingling sensation in a small area of my arm. Miss Sutton said. He said it was probably a strained muscle that would quickly heal. Instead, over the coming weeks, the tingling worsened. So this tingling is like a pins and needles sensation. We often call the sensation when you, for example, sleep on your arm. When you wake up in the morning, your arm is tingling with pins and needles. So the tingling sensation worsened and slowly spread up my entire arm, then across my upper back, then down my back, my legs, feet, hands and face, until my entire body was covered and incredibly painful, Miss Sutton said. The nerve pain progressed into painful spasticity and banding, where areas of muscle in my body would tense up as hard as a rock, squeeze, and stay like that for anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours. I started having internal tremors, migraines, muscle fasciculations. I'm not sure what they are, fasciculations, but muscle fasciculations, heart palpitations, food sensitivities, debilitating chronic fatigue, muscle weakness, and intense vertigo. So very sorry to hear about Ellie's painful experience, and let's hope that nobody makes the same mistake again.